Hi, it's Dr. Tonie McKenzie again, along with the LIT Network, to answer your questions about COVID-19. So, what should you do if you think you have symptoms to COVID-19? Symptoms range from fever of 100.0 or higher, fatigue, cough, shortness of breath, which is the symptom that you should be most worried about. If you're finding that you're working really hard to breathe and can't do anything to catch your breath, that's a reason to go to the hospital. The other symptoms, such as cough and fatigue and fever, are not necessarily reasons to go to the hospital, but are reasons to self-quarantine. That was a great segue into this. How do I differentiate between allergies, COVID-19, and a common cold? Here's Dr. Persis Puello, a family physician here in New York.
So, how do we determine whether it's the flu, the common cold, seasonal allergies, or COVID-19? Very hard to do because most of the symptoms overlap. The CDC created an flowchart to try to help the general population navigate through each of these. They start off with fever. If you have a fever and if you also have shortness of breath, then the likelihood of it being COVID is higher and you should get tested for COVID-19. If you have a fever and you do not have shortness of breath, then the likelihood of it being the flu is higher. You can have other symptoms clearly like fatigue, weakness, cough, and muscle aches. Now, if you don't have a fever and if you have itchy eyes, the likelihood of it being allergies is higher. If you don't have a fever and you don't have itchy eyes, but you have other symptoms of runny nose and sneezing, then you may have the common cold. I hope this helps. Stay safe, everyone.
Many people want to know, what vitamins or herbal supplements can I take to boost my immune system? Here's Dr. Crystal Roach, an OBGYN down in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much for your question about what vitamins or herbal supplements can we take to boost our immune system during this time. So currently there is insignificant amount of definitive research that correlates nutrition to COVID-19. However, there is evidence that certain nutrients are important when it comes to infections in general. In particular, there are 3 that play a role in enzyme activity within your cells, and they have the ability to increase a positive immune response to infection. So zinc and vitamin D have shown to reduce flu-like symptoms and to improve recovery time. Vitamin C was shown to reduce hospital stay and the need for ventilation in other infectious studies. Thank you so much for your question, and I hope that was helpful.
Here's a question for you. Does COVID-19 have other strands? Let's look at this picture to explain. We see here that COVID-19 does not itself have its own strands, but is a strand of a class of viruses called coronaviruses, or coronaviridae. On the right, we see that coronaviruses usually cause the common cold. However, there are some strands, such as COVID-19 and SARS, that cause serious illness. SARS is the outbreak that we saw back in 2003. That was caused by a coronavirus. Quick update. So since we last recorded this video, it seems that COVID-19 does have new strands. The RNA taken from COVID-19 in Wuhan, China is different from the RNA in COVID-19 that we see here in the US. So it seems that the virus has mutated and made new strands. Another great question that you all asked was, how do I take care of a loved one who's sick with COVID-19? Now, advise that loved one to make sure that they stay hydrated. Patients tend to have a decrease in appetite and thus take in less fluids and less solids. So encourage them to drink water and broth to maintain their hydration. Also, if they have a fever, tell them that it's okay to take Tylenol as directed. Remember that they must self-quarantine to avoid you and other people getting sick. Hopefully, we're able to provide you some clarity. Once again, I would like to thank the LIT Network for putting this video together. Stay safe.